within 5 seconds I kind of knew, okay, something severely is wrong here. Like, I just kind of remember opening the door and trying to like slump out, and then realised, like, you know, just there and then, like, that I actually can't move my legs.
Two years ago, Rory Motherway's life changed in the blink of an eye. While driving the short journey from his home in East Cork to watch his brothers line out for the Killa footballers, he crashed his car into a wall on the side of the N25.
I just wasn't able to play the match, so I was going to stay at home, and my two brothers went, and I said, no, I won't go down. And then my father went and offered me a spin. I said no. And then about 10 to 8, I said, I better just go down and do something. So I remember leaving here, and that's nearly kind of it. Like, but yeah, I do remember the chaos, like, because it was on a main road, you know, that I flew straight across.
At just 19, Rory had only recently finished his first year college exams.
I couldn't pick myself up, and I still had the seatbelt on. Like, fortunately, the seatbelt is what saved my life, but also, you know, what caused all the damages right across, say, my chest, and doing this where the lap belt was, is where all my nearly insides and bones were broken. Without being too vulgar now, like, but my spine kind of just snapped like that. And it's essentially like if someone got the scissors, you know, and just snipped it.
Rory spent weeks in intensive care before beginning rehabilitation.
First time they get you out of bed, you're actually hoisted out, like, and they get you in a chair and they nearly teach you, you know, this is your wheelchair, like, how to push yourself. And we worked on a lot of the fundamentals of transfers and just simple things like just getting change or how you even wash yourself. You just don't have a choice, really. You just have to, you know, get up and get on with it. Just keep swimming, you know, that's what they say.
For clinicians working with the most serious injuries, cases like Rory's are all too familiar.
About a quarter to a third of the patients we admit will have been involved in a road traffic accident. And those injuries, the most severe injuries that have the longest effect, would be traumatic brain injury and spinal cord injury. Anyone who has either had a severe injury themselves or any family member of that person will know exactly what the inestimable cost is of those injuries. They really shatter their lives in a split second.
Rory's injuries were catastrophic and impossible to miss. But across Ireland, many serious road injuries look very different. And while we know exactly how many people die on our roads each year, it's far less clear how many are seriously hurt. Ireland tracks road safety data mainly through Garda collision records. On paper, the numbers tell a story of the rate of injuries stabilising. Between 2020 and 2024, Gardaí recorded nearly 7,500 serious injuries from road collisions, peaking in 2022 before levelling off. But hospital data tells a different story. Analysis published by the Road Safety Authority in January, using hospital data alongside Garda figures, shows the number of people hospitalised after road crashes has risen steadily since 2021, reaching its highest level in 2024 with almost 2,500 admissions. The RSA said hospital and Garda data provide complementary information, and that hospital records can offer a fuller picture of serious injuries. Many road injuries, particularly those involving cyclists or pedestrians, are never reported to Gardaí. Some only become fully apparent when someone is examined in hospital.
I actually don't remember being in the hospital a whole lot either, but I had a concussion, and yeah, it was kind of scary that I wasn't able to remember any of it at all.
Sophie suffered 2 concussions within the space of a few weeks in 2024 while cycling in Dublin city centre. Injuries serious enough to require hospital treatment.
I barely even remember leaving the gym on George's Street there, and I apparently came off my bike and I was going about my normal life 1 minute, and then suddenly I was in the hospital. About 2 weeks after that accident, I went to pick up my bike, and very quickly my tyre got stuck in the Lewis tracks and I fell again. It was really, really scary, hitting my head and not knowing if a Lewis was coming or a bus or a car. I straight away had a couple of big lumps on my head. Like, my memory hasn't been great since, my short-term memory.
Neither of Sophie's crashes were reported to Gardaí, meaning her injuries would not appear in their records.
It never would have crossed my mind to report something like that. Like, I'm sure there's huge numbers of those kind of accidents that happen that are just never reported and people just don't talk about them.
Cases like Sophie's help explain why Garda data may not capture the full scale of serious injury. And if those injuries aren't fully counted, it's harder to know where people are being hurt and what needs to change. Across Europe, there's a growing push to close that gap in the data by combining hospital and police records.
If we don't have the data and the knowledge that that data gives us, we can't then act to take those preventative measures.
A report by the European Transport Safety Council last year set out why gaps like this matter. It found underreporting can leave policymakers in the dark about the true scale of the problem, and warned that incomplete data can undermine proper allocation of resources to prevent crashes.
There's a huge cost to road trauma, whether there's deaths or serious injuries, and it can be tricky to put a price or a value on a life lost or years lived with a disability.
For those working with patients in the years after a crash, the reality of that cost is clear.
They go, in most cases, from being highly functioning adults who may or may not be driving a car. They may be pedestrians, they may be cyclists. Almost certainly they're in work, they're part of a family system, they may be parents. They have all these life roles, and suddenly they are cast into this unknown place to them, where if they live, they emerge intact from intensive care or partially intact maybe 2 months later, and many spend years, if not the rest of their lives, paying the price of that split second.
As he approaches the 2-year anniversary of his crash, Rory is living a very different life than the one he had planned.
When I'm on the sideline watching the match, there are days when you do miss it, right? You would love to be out there again. But look, we kind of just move on now, and there's other things. Like, just basketball was great to improve my chair skills, which really improves just your day to day. Like,
so we're just coming up close to where it happened now. Just this junction here. This is exactly where it was. Just flew across the road. Lucky to not hit any other oncoming car.
I remember my father being there first, like, nearly laying down beside me, and from that minute on, like, they definitely brought us nearly closer, obviously, as a family. Like, when you're backed so much by the community and by everyone around you, like, just the level of support, like, would nearly give you a purpose to get up and do things. And yeah, so still obviously a lot to live for, a lot to do to keep you occupied. So that keeps me going.
The wonderful Rory Motherway finishing Jack McCarran's report there. Well, shortly before we went on air, I spoke to Dr. Morgan McMonigal, a trauma consultant and surgeon at University Hospital Waterford, and I began by asking him, since Rory's story is just one of thousands like that here in Ireland, is this something that he is sadly far too familiar with?
Yes, unfortunately. It's one of the reasons why people like myself and other surgeons around the country went into practicing the area of medicine that deals with traumatic injuries. But we do see it all too often, and nobody wakes up in the morning hoping to see a tragic accident like that of Rory's, with the greatest respect for the power of his story and the esprit de corps that he's shown since his tragedy. And it's fantastic when people like him speak out, because I do think that message is driven home, because we often forget the human side and the human story behind every tragedy. It's often lost in scientific reports that are very cold and very calculated, but we have to remember, for every report that comes out, there's a Rory and his extended family behind it.
And when you tie in, Morgan, all the numbers of injuries you see coming into hospitals, plus the Garda figures, I mean, how well equipped are we to deal with injuries like this in Ireland, in our hospitals?
No, we are well equipped. We have excellent functioning hospitals, despite what public opinion might say, and we have very highly skilled doctors. We do have a national trauma system now in place, which is helping to keep the wheels turning and the skills up to date to a certain degree. What I would say is, if you look at, for every trauma death, historical figures would tell us that there are between 2 and 3 severe trauma injuries for every 1 death. And they're often the people, the patients that are forgotten about, because it's only natural that we look at deaths as a benchmark for how well we're doing in any disease pattern or any treatment. But for every 1 death that happens, there's 2 to 3 severe injuries. Also, if you look at trauma is the leading cause of death between 12 months old and 45. And it's the 5th leading cause of death overall. The number of years of life lost for every trauma is an average 36 years. It's actually, if you look at any disease process, whether it's trauma or cancer or cardiovascular disease, trauma is the number 1 for number of years of life lost. It accounts for approximately 33% of the years you lose in society and all the financial costs and burdens that brings. On top of that, if you look at the number of years of the survivors that are left living with a disability, join the two together, you get what's called disability adjusted life years. And that, if you look at the number of disability adjusted life years that are lost, trauma comes out number 2 overall in the world and in the Western world. So it's a huge burden on society. So despite the fact that there are great stories like Rory's coming out, albeit a tragic story as well, the number of years lost in society for every single trauma that happens is absolutely enormous. And that's something that's very difficult to tease out in a study like this. And it's a sort of a national study that I would love to see it taken on at a governmental level or a HSE level or a national level funded, just to see where we are in Ireland compared to, say, the United States, the United Kingdom and the rest of Europe, with how much trauma is costing us as a society.
So when you look at those stories, Morgan, of Rory and also of Sophie, less serious injuries, but still hugely impactful on her life going forward, what would your advice be tonight to anyone getting into a car, on a motorbike? What would you say to them, Morgan, given what you see on a daily and weekly basis?
Miriam, it's the same old story. It's old wine in new bottles. There is no magic pill, and people have to remember that, we all have a certain level of self-responsibility and autonomy and self-determination when it comes to our own liability. And it's the same old thing we've been talking about for years. Wear a seatbelt, don't drive too fast, keep your car in good working order. Ideally have the roads in good working order. That's more of a governmental and political policy issue. Don't drink and drive. Don't take drugs and drive. It's about self-responsibility, because everybody's responsible for reducing road traffic deaths, not just the government, not just the Gardaí.
OK, Morgan McMonigal, as ever, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll definitely come back to this story.